Greetings and good day, and welcome to another model building workshop. I'm Mr. Allen on behalf of the Community Libraries of Providence, and this is the Russian, or the former Soviet Union's, T-80U SMT 1989. This is the Dragon model, came about back in, I think, the early 90s, and this is the T-80. A series of Soviet battle tanks. This is like the last battle tank that the Soviet Union had produced before its collapse. This is the Dragon kit. Kind of a good size model. I had built this back in the 90s. And I weathered it up pretty good, although it's a little awkward to handle it at this point. All these years later, could use some touch-ups on the weathering. Give you a little background on this tank. So according to this, this is the instruction sheet from Dragon back in the day. Yeah, 1992 is when this came out. So it said that this is the latest in the main battle tank. Latest main battle tank in frontline service with the Soviet Army. Entering production in the early 1980s. And they were with the group of forces in Germany. They were the first ones to get it in 1984. So it's armed with a 125 millimeter smoothbore gun, fed by an automatic loader, which is common for a lot of the Soviet tanks. And has the 2A46 gun. It can fire the HE frag, heat frag, armor-piercing defense stabilized rounds, as well as an AT-8 Songster anti-tank guided wire, I guess, missile. That has a range of about 4,000 meters. It's got a 7.62 machine gun, coaxial up here. It's got another gun up top here. It's the 12.7 millimeter for anti-aircraft defense. It has a crew of 3 with a driver, commander, and a gunner in the turret, and of course you got the autoloader. And the standard equipment included smoke dischargers, nuclear, biological, chemical protection systems, snorkels for deep wading, night vision equipment, laser warning devices, laser rangefinder, and of course, the extra fuel tanks in the back here. Comes in about 42 tons. So, I got a little bit more information here on this. Yeah, so it's basically the successors, or supposed to be the successor, to the T-64 and the T-72 series of tanks. It didn't really fill that role well in the fact that they continued to produce the T-72, at least as far as what I'm reading. It's been in service, I guess, originally rolled out in 1976, and it's still in use. I guess they're still producing some of these. 1987 to present for the T-80UD. I guess it's the diesel version of it. This one has a gas turbine engine, and it was the first of the Soviet tanks to have a gas turbine. And yeah, a lot of data here. Yeah, Nikolai Popov was the chief designer of this vehicle, and the T-80U was last produced in 2001 in Omsk, Russia. But in 2023, they announced that production was going to restart, apparently because of the war. Ukraine uses the T-80UD diesel engine version of this, not the gas turbine. And other versions that are out there, not other versions, other users of this tank are Belarus, Cyprus, Egypt, Kazakhstan, Pakistan, Russia, South Korea, well, Ukraine, as we just mentioned, and Uzbekistan. Saying that the T-80U-D is also known now as or has been developed into the T-84, is what they're calling it. Let's look at the model, though. It's a pretty cool model. So it's an early, Dragon tank from 1992 building this. So it had some issues. I did have some problems with the link and length tracks. I think that's why there's a heavy bit of mud on this. Looks like I had some gaps I had to fill. I like the camouflage, the three-tone camouflage on it. And it reminded me, I think when I was building this, something I was thinking about was there was the coup in Russia, in the Soviet Union, but toward the collapse of the Soviet Union, where the army staged a coup against Gorbachev and tried to seize power, and Boris Yeltsin kind of led the revolt or tried to stop it. Anyway, it ended up eventually it was a failed coup, and eventually the Soviet Union did collapse in 1991. So this was part of the coup. There's a lot of these tanks that were trying to storm the Capitol building and try to oust Yeltsin. Anyway, that's an interesting moment in history. So let's look at the instructions here. So it's typical Dragon instruction booklet, kind of a map style with the busy diagrams, as you can see. Quite a lot going on here. So it's kind of got a lot of busy things happening there with the undercarriage, and you move on to the turret and the hull. And get to the final bits and pieces here. There's some fiddly parts to this, which is not uncommon for Dragon with the small pieces. And you have to do some strategic cutting of the parts off the sprues, especially in these early days of their kits. You get some options for how you want the turret, the hatches are supposed to be able to be open or closed. Some sort of reactive armor on this guy. And then you've got the camouflage scheme here, which is listed as this period, or as Commonwealth of Independent States, the former USSR, and the three-tone that I have here. So there are some things that could be improved on this. I mean, this is from 1992 after all. But if you notice the grills on the engine deck back here, this is before the photo etch was common. So there's no photo etch there. It's just indicated, and you have to try to paint it. But otherwise, the detail is quite good on this. And someone with good modeling experience shouldn't have too much difficulty with this. Like I said, I had some issues getting the tracks and getting the side skirts on this. I had that similar issue with the T-72 kits from Dragon from this time period. It's almost like you want to leave this top stretch of track off so it would fit the side skirts and everything on better. Just something to be aware of if you come across this old kit, which is still around. But it's a nice looking tank. I like how busy it is. It's got all of this stuff going on. Look at all of the detail, all the things there. Kind of eye-popping because it's got all that stuff. Lots of things you can detail up. The smoke candles, you've got the the armor there, reactive armor. There's just a lot of busy little things on this. The gun does not elevate on this, which is kind of common for some of these kits of modern Soviet armor, because it's got the cloth, or simulated this cloth covering here, so it tends to make you have to put it in one position, and that's it. I know they're trying to do like a vinyl version of this now in some kits to see if you can make the gun move a little bit, but it's difficult when you're trying to do a simulated cloth covering. So there we have it. That's the T-80 SMT 1989 T-80U by Dragon. All right, we'll see you on the next model building workshop. Keep building and have fun out there. Bye now.